Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're finally getting to the Miles Morales Venom Carnage mashup that we've been waiting for within Dark Ages. So we're just gonna jump right into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so jumping back in, we just get right into the aftermath of the death of Nick Fury, and even though it's not something that's just lingered upon for any substantial length of time, but given the circumstances in this post-apocalyptic future, he's given a very heartfelt ceremony. And with the way that Peter Parker has been given his narration throughout this series, and while they're here in Portugal, in this brief moment where there's initially no dialogue, Peter's narration acts like a eulogy in a way, with him mentioning on how the last 7 years of Nick Fury's life had been spent building and saving refugees, rather than just moving from one fight to the other. But then while they're here having this moment of silence pretty much, Deadpool comes strolling along, welcoming everybody to Europe and just being as cheerful as ever, and even to the extent of cracking a few jokes here and there. But then when Honey Badger turns around and talks to him, she's kind of like, hey yo, chill. Which then kind of has Deadpool like, what's the problem? Somebody die? To where then she's kind of like, yeah. And that's how Deadpool finds out that Nick Fury's dead. And with how this is done, it kind of pulls on the heartstrings a little bit, because regardless of Nick Fury having questionable actions in the past, his motivations have been in the right place. And when they lay him to rest here, it's one of those things that's unspoken but understood. But then it's from here where we jump over to Paris, where Apocalypse has assembled some of the greatest minds that are left on Earth to assist him in reviving the Unmaker, and doing so by placing them under the mind control of Zebediah Killgrave. And it's here where we find Apocalypse talking to the newest member of his staff, Tony Stark, and more or less just confirming with him that the objective at hand is doable with what they have, which at this point includes bypassing the EMP signal so that Apocalypse can revive the Unmaker. And in response to this, mind-controlled Tony, who is still a genius, he lets Apocalypse know that he has to see it. He needs to see the Unmaker, he needs to see the source of the EMP that's shut down the globe, like he needs to get down there. So Apocalypse is like, alright, bet, we're taking a field trip. And he lets them know that he'll teleport everybody down and protect them so that the scientists can peep it out and see what they can do. But Zebediah Killgrave, he looks at Apocalypse and he tells him like, hey, I really don't like going down there. And right then Apocalypse, he just gives Killgrave this look, and there's no dialogue, he just gives him this look. But if there was dialogue, Apocalypse would probably be like, boy, don't make me take off my belt. I will thrash you with the purity of oblivion. Either you step through this portal, or your backside will meet my belt and be broken. Because once again, this is more of your classic Apocalypse we're dealing with here. But needless to say, the next thing we see is Killgrave down there with Apocalypse and everybody else, because that look alone let him know that this trip wasn't optional. But at this point, once again, 7 years into the future, and 7 years since the Unmaker has been put into this deep sleep. During this time, Apocalypse, he's examined the Unmaker as far as every part of its sleeping mind. He's studied the Unmaker, so he knows what he needs to do on his part in order to inhabit it and take control of a power beyond that of a celestial or even a god. And really, like with Apocalypse getting this type of upgrade, like if he pulls this off, it's over. But also as they make their way down here, he tells them to not touch Strange, because even though he's dead and his body's decayed, which there in itself are two good reasons why not to touch him, but even with this being the case, his magical wards are still in place. So with us hearing that, the warning is out there, but we'll see how well that goes. With them all coming down here, what it pretty much boils down to is that Apocalypse needs 1 hour of no EMP signal so he can revive the Unmaker and do what he needs to do. And with Tony and the others making the assessment that there's a neuron star on the other side of this doorway that's giving off an EMP signal, they've got to figure out how to contain the power of that star for 1 hour, which from there sets the clock for the heroes as far as how long they have before this is absolutely over, with that being however long it takes for these guys to come up with a solution and set it into play, plus the 1 hour that Apocalypse needs once they've done their part. So from here, the clock is really ticking. But for the heroes, they also got the dilemma of May and Danny being there with them since they snuck aboard the helicarrier, and it's not really an ideal situation to where they can just turn around and take the kids back. And so when Peter says that the kids can't go, it quickly turns into an everybody against Peter situation, starting with Deadpool, who lets Peter know, like, with great responsibility, it'd be pretty irresponsible to leave your kids at a refugee camp so they could ride back to Wakanda with Storm when she heads back. But at this point, Storm has changed her mind, and she's decided from here she's going straight to Apocalypse with everyone else because they need all the help they can get. And then it's here where Dr. Doom chimes in, and he lets Peter know, like, if May didn't say something earlier when her spider sense went off because of the Ghost Raiders, then they probably would have lost more people in addition to Nick Fury. To where then Jessica Jones, the parent of the other child, is like, you know what, they are safer with us. And once that's said, Peter's lost, the kids are coming, let's go. And so from here, Deadpool, he goes back into his tour guide, welcome to Europe mode, and he takes everyone to the tour bus that he's commandeered, and he's appropriately named the Deadmobile, which just shouts inspiration as far as where they're going right now. But also with this happening, Pepper, she asks Wade, like, why are you our tour guide? And he lets her know that he's been beaten, stabbed, and shot in every part of this continent, which right away make him an expert on where not to go, which makes a lot of sense. But the only catch is that this bus doesn't have headlights for obvious reasons, and because of that, they're only able to travel during the daytime. So when night falls, they make a stop a good distance from any busy roads, but when they stop, Honey Badger picks up a scent, a very faint scent, that initially she can't identify, but she can tell that this person is staying downwind in an attempt to keep their scent from getting picked up. So as a result, Honey Badger, Lord Kenny, and Blade, they go to check it out. And as they move away from the group and investigate, I can't help but to think of this whole thing giving me Predator vibes. Like, how crazy would it be to play the Predator game and be Blade or one of the Wolverines? Which reminds me, man, I can't wait for that Wolverine game. Like, I really hope that game is a Canadian Red Dead Redemption 2 with claws. Like, I just want to be Logan in the woods, killing bears and crafting clothes for hours. Fingers crossed we'll get that, we'll see. But while they're out here, Laura spots something in the trees, and seconds later, she's impaled by this thing. And for a little while, the three of them out here alone, like, they're still trying to figure out what they're up against. And I mean, like, us as the reader, we know, like, we've been waiting for this. But these guys, as of this time, they have no idea. But also with all this commotion going on, back at the camp, they just hear screaming from not too far away. And what's crazy is, like, little May, Peter's daughter, she tries to calm down Danny, telling her there's nothing to worry about because her spider senses are going off. But as soon as May says this, out from the dark shadows comes this Carnage Venom hybrid carrying Honey Badger like she's just on a meat hook. And also I gotta mention, like, for Honey Badger, prior to this, she had nanites in her system, which before would allow her to endure crazy damage without feeling pain. But since the blackout from 7 years ago, when every form of technology stopped working, her nanites stopped working as well. So for Honey Badger, she's feeling all of this. But with this Venom Carnage hybrid showing up here, the next thing he does is go for Moon Girl. But Devil Dinosaur jumps in the way, saving her life, to where then he just bites this Venom Carnage monstrosity and just tosses him, which at the same time also frees Honey Badger, who had just been dangling in excruciating pain this whole time. But even still, she took it like a G. But with time, she'll be alright because the healing factor is still there, and with looking on the bright side, she sees her body as half full rather than half empty, which is a remark that Deadpool can very much appreciate. But then when Peter starts shooting webs and they make the thwap sound instead of thwip, Deadpool's like, wait a minute, we're not gonna not talk about this. And really, who knows if it's thwap or thwop, because depending on how you look at it, I can just imagine Deadpool just like get a mop and a bucket for that TH wop, and literally just going into a music video montage in this moment. But of course, Peter's like, hey man, come on, just don't be you right now, because they kind of need all hands on deck at the moment. But at the same time, like, when they realize what they're dealing with here, which essentially is two symbiotes bonded with a host who at this moment, they may not know who it is, though we've known for some time, but they treat the situation as such, with first handling the symbiotes, with Pepper using her Iron Woman suit to blast them with fire, separating the symbiotes from their host, and once the symbiotes are handled, they'll get to the host after that. And so when Pepper separates the two symbiotes with her fire, Storm then tells Sue to protect everyone with her shields, to where from there she just blasts Venom and Carnage to keep them from just jumping right back onto their host. But when this happens, it's here where they finally find that it's Miles, and when they see this, Peter rushes in to let Miles know that it's gonna be okay. But in response, Miles tells Peter that it's not gonna be okay, like not at all, because he knows the plan that Apocalypse has set in place to end the world as they know it. And from the time that Miles has been sent to come out here and go after these guys, there's really no telling how far along that plan is at this point. But much like what we'd seen with Quicksilver when he was freed from the influence of Kilgrave, Miles is now free as well, and it's here where he gives them the update as far as what exactly it is that Apocalypse plans to do. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so we can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys, and it seems from here that we will get more of the Miles, Carnage, and Venom mashup, just going by the artwork from like upcoming issues. But as of right now, with the way that the story's going, it's hard to tell. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, like if you're hoping to see that, or if you feel like this was enough and you just want them to keep it pushing. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.